Welcome to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, where you get advice you can trust. From home selling tips to investing, this is the talk show that will help you make the most money when selling your most valuable asset and save the most money when buying. Now here are your hosts, Dave McKay, along with Wally Kerr, broker and founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty in Oklahoma City.
Well, good Saturday morning to you, Wally. How you doing this morning?
Hey, Dave. Doing great this Saturday morning. More football, college football this weekend. I'm pumped. A lot of upsets last week, but I don't guess this is a show about football.
Well, our show this morning is brought to you by Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage and Best Protect Roofing. And, you know, the room just got a little bit brighter, got a little bit prettier this morning, because we have a guest with us.
We do have a special guest in here this morning. So my wife, Cindy, joins us again this week.
Hello.
And she was in a couple of months ago, and we had some great listener feedback to Cindy being here. She's Cindy, you started your real estate career when I did. Got my license in July of 1987. What about you?
Kind of serendipity, but I got my license in July of 1987 in Southern California.
Tell us a little bit what we have on tap for today.
Well, we always start with the funny story of the week, and Cindy was with me when there was the skunk in the wall. So we'll start with that. Our 2023 year-end home price forecast is something I researched this week. Very interesting. I think our listeners will love hearing about these forecasts from the big guys inside the marketplace. So we'll share that. Cindy's going to help with a segment today that we wrote called What Home Your Crystal Ball Thinks You Should Buy.
And do we have a crystal ball? I wish I did.
We've got a couple of recorded calls. We've got some open houses to talk about. And then we'll wrap up today with something that a lot of realtors avoid talking about, and that is, are real estate brokerage fees negotiable? We'll end our show today, and I think our listeners will enjoy that.
Fantastic. We'll be right back after this.
The market is shifting. Do you know what to do? If you're selling a home, you need to realize that market demand is changing, and it's changing now. More homes are coming on the market than homes that are actually selling, so the inventory is going up. What does rising inventory mean? Prices can soften. It's important you get on the train right now and understand what you need to do to sell a home. First of all, my guaranteed home sale program will create more demand for your home, because I can buy someone else's home so that they can buy yours. If you're thinking about selling by owner, I can create more demand for your home than you can ever create on your own. I'm Wally Kerr, and I believe in aggressive marketing. My wife and I have done this for 36 years together, and we now have a team of 28 people. If you'd like to create more demand for your home so that your home will sell faster and for top dollar, give me a call today at 405-330-4000 at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I'd love to meet with you and discuss a strategy and plan for getting your home sold. Call me at 330-4000. I look forward to talking to you myself.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Okay, Wally, I like this part that we started a couple of weeks ago. It's our funny story of the week. And you mentioned that Cindy was with you when this happened, and it has to do with a skunk, which doesn't sound good at all.
Cindy, you remember it well, don't you?
I can remember the very house and the very neighborhood and the very smell.
Oh, yeah. So basically, what we did was we were called out to list a home for sale. I remember it was a divorce, and the man was still living inside the home. We walked in the door, and as we would, it was a really pretty home. Okay. Started looking at the features to the property, and I remember thinking that I smelled something, but like any other home, I didn't want to say anything about it. Want to be very complimentary about the home. It's interesting what happened. If you remember, Cindy, he turned to us and said, do you happen to smell anything when you're here? And I said, yeah, I think I do, maybe. And I looked at you and said, Cindy, do you smell anything? And you affirmed that, right?
Yes.
And he said, well, I'd like you to walk over here to this wall. We walk up and he said, do you smell a skunk there? I said, yeah, it kind of smells like that. And he said, this has been going on for months and months, and I thought for a long time that maybe the outside of my home had been sprayed. But he said, I'd like to know your recommendations because I need to sell the home. He said, do you think this could be a marketing problem? And I remember Cindy saying, it could be, and I do smell it. So what we decided to do is hire a contractor who would come over for a very reasonable cost. He was afraid that perhaps a skunk had been framed inside the home when it was built and that it had died inside the wall.
Oh, I could see that.
Dave, it's exactly what happened.
That's what happened.
So we hired a contractor and they went over and it was behind the master bathtub. They cut a hole and he said the smell was overwhelming.
Oh.
And sure enough, there's this dead skunk back behind the bathtub inside the wall. And so get the skunk out, and I guess there were some smells there, and got it fumigated and got it all neutralized. But that's the story of
I mean, because they
skunk.
thought, well, this body wash isn't working. I mean, we keep...
It was in the
that's
wall.
Crazy. I bet there's a lot of stories about critters getting into crawl spaces and stuff like that, and things get sealed up because new neighborhoods, it's a large site. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's get on to 2023 year-end home price forecast. Now, tell me about this. What we're going to discuss here.
So this is really interesting. So for home prices, I want our listeners to know that they're going to continue to see some misleading media coverage in the months ahead. And that's because there's seasonality to home price appreciation. Okay. We've been talking about, Dave, in our shows about how much are homes going up, how much are they escalating. But that's also marked by seasonality. You and I always have talked about the busiest time of the year is April, May, June, July.
Yes.
So you would expect the appreciation to be sharper and be higher and more appreciation during the spring months when there's more home sales. So seasonality needs to be taken into consideration, and a lot of people misunderstand that. So, here's what you need to know to get ahead of the next round of negative headlines if you're a consumer.
Okay.
As activity in the housing market slows at the end of the year, home price growth will also slow, but that doesn't mean prices are falling. It just means they're appreciating at a slower rate. So here are 7 big guys who predicted earlier in 2023 that their original forecast was that home rates would fall, and they've gone back and revised their forecasts now.
Okay.
Here's a couple of examples. A lot of people know what Fannie Mae is.
Yes.
Fannie Mae is the clearinghouse for mortgages, right, Cindy?
Correct.
This is where Bank of America makes a loan. They get a certain pool of mortgages, and it's sold to Fannie Mae. So Fannie Mae's original forecast for 2023 is that nationwide, overall, they believe that home values would fall 1.5% this year. Their new revision is an increase by 3.9%.
That's quite a bit,
That's
right?
a big swing, isn't
Yes.
it?
Look at Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley originally said they thought nationwide that home values would fall about 4% in 2023 from their peaks in April of 2022. They have now revised their forecast to indicate 4% appreciation for 2023. Now, if you own a $600,000 home, you're talking about a $25,000 difference there. A couple of others. How about Zillow? Zillow is big inside our marketplace, and we're a Zillow partner. So Zillow had estimated nationwide that they'd see a 0.7% decrease in home values, and now it's been revised to a 5.5% increase.
Wow.
Dave, that's a 6.2% difference. So, one of the other ones was Wells Fargo, where they thought that values would fall 5.5% in 2023. They have gone back and revised their estimate to increase 2.2%.
So were the numbers or home sales and what people got for their homes higher and more than what they expected in that time to make this estimate for this year?
It's probably a part of it.
So it's a reaction to that, maybe?
Yes, and I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're just not seeing enough inventory on the market.
Correct.
It's a very different market. Rates have gone up a lot. You'd think that the market would be depressed and not as many sales, but there's such a limited inventory of available homes that homes have continued to appreciate. And I think for anyone who's a homeowner or thinking about buying a home, this is really great news, is that the big guys, and out of these 7, if you wondered who they were, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Zillow, the American Enterprise Institute, Morgan Stanley, Fannie Mae, and how about this one? The Mortgage Bankers Association, who have all revised their estimates to say housing values are continuing to appreciate. Again, think about them seasonally. Probably not going to appreciate as much during the fall months, but at least we're not going backwards according to these statistics and analytics that are coming out.
What does this do to home builders? Is this a situation where they can take advantage by building more homes right now if the number of homes for sale is a little bit low, it's a little bit scarce to get into? Is this good for them?
You know, that's where a lot of folks are turning, is to new construction, because of the fact that there's just not enough inventory. So I think when Wally and I were talking about this is good news. And also, when people are a little nervous about interest rates right now because they're not 3%, when they're nervous about interest rates, keep in mind they get to negotiate on a resale home because of the fact that, there's good negotiation.
There's seasonality, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about. Maybe not as much demand in the fall time gives these buyers, even though there's not as much supply available, not as many existing homes available, and it gives them maybe an opportunity to go in and do some negotiations that they wouldn't be able to do in a hot spring market, right?
That's exactly right. And then even though they didn't get that low interest rate, they can always, they're remembering those rates that were down at 3.5, but they can always refinance. So that it's kind of a win-win because they were able to negotiate the price they wanted. Yes. And then once rates fall, if they do, then they can refinance.
Those numbers you just talked about, that's a great example of refinancing, that you want to get into the home now because the values are continuing to climb at maybe even more of a percent than what the percentage rates are climbing. So get in now, and if you're in at a 7% interest rate, you could refinance next year when those go down a little bit, but the value of your home really isn't going to go down.
Right.
It could slow a little bit, but it's not going to go down like the interest rates would. So you could refinance and find yourself in a really good situation.
On Wednesday of this week, Dave, there was some economic news that came out that said the U.S. economy is growing faster than expected, and this was determined by the Federal Reserve in Atlanta. So if the economy's growing, you and I know that probably means there's less pressure for rates to go down. Like we talked last week, if there's a chance they're going to go up, why not lock in a rate right now? And this could just be a plateau. We could be sitting at rates that are 7, 7.25, 7.5. Okay. Is there a chance they could continue to go up? Absolutely. So why not lock in a rate now, just in case the rates do go up, by knowing that your home value is going to go up, and then you can always refinance.
It's really a win-win.
Let's get out that crystal ball next. We're going to talk to Cindy about maybe some items that you maybe should add to your home, shouldn't add to your home if you're thinking about resale value. We're going to do all that next.
To schedule an appointment with Wally Kerr to help you or a family member buy or sell a home, call or text at 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Wally will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show right here on KOKC.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful. From knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm Wally Kerr, and if you didn't know, there are 6 big reasons why homeowners like you choose to list their home for sale with us. First is our offer to sell your home at a price agreeable to you, or we'll buy it ourselves. How can we do this? It's reason number 2. We have hundreds of pre-vetted home buyers waiting for their dream home to come available. That home may be yours. I'll show you our list of buyers when we meet. Our partnership with Zillow is reason number 3. Zillow chose our team to help dozens of ready home buyers each and every month. Reasons 4 and 5, MLS data shows that our listings have sold faster and for more money on average for 4 years in a row. But don't take my word for it. We have hundreds of online reviews at both Google and Zillow. See what our customers say about us. I'm a 35-year broker with over 4,000 home closings. My team and I are ready to work for you. Call me at 405-330-3000 at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, or simply visit wallyhasthebuyers.com. I look forward to talking to you myself. Call me at 330-3000. 330-3000.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Okay, this is going to be a lot of fun because I get to chat with Cindy here. Wally, you just take a break, go have your donut.
I'll sit back here and smoke my cigar. How's that?
There you go. Well, we joked about having a crystal ball and maybe what home your crystal ball thinks you should buy. You've got some interesting information to share today about projects that might not bring the return you would think they would bring. And I'm going to say right off the bat, I would love to get a pool. And I think that might be one of your three because I know a lot of people talk about that. But tell me some of the things that people might not want to put into their homes if they're going to be selling soon.
Well, you mention a pool, and it's interesting because there's pluses and minuses. When we take out a buyer, sometimes a pool is number one on their list.
Sure.
But then they really need to think about, how long am I going to keep the home? Could I get a homeowners association pool that might suffice? Maybe I'm going to be staying here for a long time and will really enjoy it. But what about who's going to enjoy it? Kids, perhaps, who are maybe at an age where they're going to be leaving for college soon. We've actually had 2 listings where the people filled those pools in with dirt.
Oh, really?
Yes, because kids grew up and left, and they just hated maintaining the pool.
That's my friend right now. He's thinking about filling in his pool and putting in a putting green in his backyard.
Well, that doesn't sound half bad to me.
No, not at all.
I've seen quite a few over the last few years, Cindy, and some were families where they had younger children. They actually loved the neighborhood. I remember in one instance they wanted to live in that same neighborhood because their friends were there. But the home had a pool and they had younger children. They were, of course, concerned about liability and accidents. So they loved the home and they loved the neighborhood. But the pool didn't matter as much to them. And, of course, to the homeowner's sitting on the other end and saying, hey, look at this $60,000 pool I put in, and this should bring more money.
It's kind of something to consider. It may be that you just want to go for it. You're always going to find that if you buy a home that's already got an existing pool, that is going to allow you to finance that in with your mortgage. And also, it's going to be less expensive than trying to put in a pool. But, these are all things to think about. Also, the backyard is really important. If you're going to be buying in a family neighborhood and the pool is going to take up the entire backyard, so it's concrete from one fence to the other, that's a real downer, especially if you want to have some green space for the kids, for a swing set. So that's something to consider too.
Cindy and I know one of the issues is getting an appraiser to go back and add that value back when you sell the property, right, Cindy?
Yes. But on the flip side, when we went through COVID, a pool was something that people really wanted and were willing to pay for because of the fact that they didn't want to go to community pools.
Yes.
They wanted the safety of their family in their own pool. So there's a lot of things to consider.
And they weren't taking vacations either.
Exactly.
So they had a little bit of
Staycations.
income and everything. So here's another one that I asked Wally about probably about a month or two ago, because we've had these people walking around our neighborhoods, and I noticed a home in our neighborhood that has this on their roof. The solar panels. Sounds like a great idea. You can get off the grid. Solar panels. Talk to me about solar panels and investing in those. Is it something I could do, shouldn't do? Will I get my money back on them?
Wally and I have talked a lot about that. Wally, what's your take on that?
So I think they could be a good potential long-term investment. They're pretty expensive up front, and I think the cost has got to be considered. There are tax credits, and Dave, you and I talked about federal tax credits that are available 3 or 4 weeks ago on our show. So that can defer a portion of the cost, but I think my question to anybody would be, is there a chance that you might move in the future after putting solar panels on? I've had at least 3 or 4 instances, Dave and Cindy, in the last 2 or 3 years where someone called and said, hey, I need to sell my home. I put on these solar panels, and I need to know what it's worth. And the truth is, an appraiser can't just go look for comps anywhere in the city, comparable sales. they've got to go defend to an underwriter at a mortgage company how much those panels are worth. So if there aren't enough home sales inside a neighborhood
with panels
for a comparable size home and about the same age, then the appraiser can't justify what that's actually worth. And so, in most cases, that's going to be the case with appraisers, is because there are so few homes that have them. And I've seen, we had a call maybe 6 or 8 months ago for someone who had a home that was probably about a $165,000 to $170,000 home. They'd spent $60,000 on solar panels and wanted to recoup their investment because their solar panels were going to have to be paid off at closing. And now a buyer could walk in and say, well, I want the house and I want the solar panels. A, is it going to appraise for enough for the buyer to afford that money?
Yes.
And B, if a buyer is really looking for a 1,200 square foot home that really is a 160, 165, 170 home, how do you get them to bump their budget up to $200,000 or $210,000 to get the owner enough money to pay off those solar panels?
Sometimes we say selling feature. Maybe something doesn't bring back the value, but it could be a selling feature.
Sure,
and Wally and I have talked about that. Somebody may say, yeah, if I don't have to pay anything extra for them, might be nice. But then on the flip side, you think, what happens if there's a hailstorm? And you have to take the roof off and re-roof, and you have to remove those panels and put them back on.
Oh, that's probably additional cost.
Yeah, so Wally and I started thinking about that and talked to them about what you found out, Wally.
Apparently what it takes is an insurance rider. You go in and buy, with your insurance coverage, a rider policy at an additional cost that says, if I get hailed on, this company is going to come back out, remove the panels, new roof shingles are put on, reinstall the solar panels. But one of my questions is, what if that company's out of business at that time?
Yeah.
And so that becomes a big question. And I tried to find out a little earlier what that rider might cost and couldn't get that information, but it probably is going to be another expense.
Sure.
Matter of fact, just looking at my phone this morning, I asked that last night and I got a message back that says there's not any specific coverage that I'm aware of that covers the removal or reinstallation of the panels. So who's going to bear that cost?
Yeah.
And so it may be the solar panel.
Homeowner.
There you go.
And
the panels are real popular in other states, but I grew up in Southern California, and I owned several homes there. And actually, I never replaced my roof on any of those homes because we didn't have hail.
Sure.
But here, we own rental property. We're constantly replacing roofs because of hail.
And if they all had solar panels,
that's something to
that's
think
a whole
about.
Other thing. You brought up something, Wally, interesting. You talked about tax credits. So there could be a benefit. So it's not all bad for solar panels. You could get a tax credit. Now, we've talked about this maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show, and our listeners can go back and listen to those at wallytalkshouses.com. You can get all the shows there, as a matter of fact. But we did talk about this. So can you offset the total cost of these solar panels and get tax credits back to help supplement that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some good things about solar panels, and I think many good things. Going off the grid sounds great to me. I like to keep the home a little colder than Cindy does on the inside.
A lot colder.
I prefer to keep it
Could
65
hang
all the
meat
time
in there.
on the inside.
Okay.
The federal tax credit for solar systems installed between 2022 and all the way to 2032 is up to 30% of the actual cost with no maximum amount that can be claimed.
Okay.
So let's go back to that person I told you that called earlier this year and wanted to sell their home. They put $60,000 into solar panels at their property. So a 30% tax credit would be $18,000.
Yes.
Now that sounds pretty good, right? But remember, Dave, and this is the key, you've got to have a tax liability to qualify for this credit. It's a dollar-for-dollar reduction in the amount of income tax you would otherwise owe.
Okay.
So they don't write you a check.
So if you normally, if you're really good and you get a little money back, you're not going to see anything from this.
And you should consult your CPA, the
Sure,
person who does
yes.
your taxes, but something to think about.
Yeah, if you're W-2 and you're typically accustomed to and love getting a refund, you're only going to get a tax credit if you actually owe taxes to the government, and it will be a dollar-for-dollar reduction in your tax liability. So I would recommend research in regard to solar panels, what kind of tax credit you could get. I think you want to think about what happens if you get hailed on, like
Yeah.
Cindy said, have to
Right.
take those off, replace the roof shingles, and put them back on. And the only other thing before we close this talking about solar panels you and I talked about is a lot of these solar panel payments will maybe be $200, $250, $300 per month on payment. So if you sell your home and you think, well, maybe a buyer would just walk in and take over the payment on the panels, be careful about that, because if the buyer's looking for a $200,000 home and they're looking at other $200,000 homes, and they get a certain amount of square footage and amenities,
yes,
when in fact this home is a $165,000 home with $60,000 worth of solar panels,
Yes.
the buyer's getting a bigger, maybe a little bit nicer house at the $200,000 price point than what they would be getting with the home that's $165,000 with the $60,000 worth of solar panels. That makes sense?
And it's in a $165,000 neighborhood.
That's right.
So, buyers are very savvy. They don't just look at one house and buy. They really get
Sure.
acquainted with the market. They look at what can my dollar bring me in different price ranges. And sometimes they'll say to us, let's bump it $10,000 if they can qualify. So that allows them to see what the market is in different price ranges. So this is something to think about.
Yeah, you put it best, Dave. The tax credit can make it look very, very intriguing, but be really careful that you understand how that tax credit works.
Okay, so I cheated. I took a peek at your list before we started, so I kind of know what's coming here. So I want to tell you a story. I have a buddy of mine bought a home down just south of Fort Worth, and he really liked it because it had an extra room. It wasn't really an extra room. They had turned the garage into another living room, if you will.
Man cave.
Man cave, yes. And put a nice big TV in there. It was like a theater room.
Sure.
But how many people are going to look for a home without a garage? Especially here in Oklahoma, if you have a car that's worth more than $200 and you don't want that hail damage,
Yeah.
where are you going to go with it? So let's talk about turning that garage into another home. Is there any benefit, and what could that really cost you in the long run?
We see that garage conversions, and it's very specific to what a person's needs are at the time. Maybe they have a mother-in-law move in, so they have a need for that. For the most part, in my experience, it has not been a good use of your money.
Okay.
First of all, if it's in a first-time buyer range, most buyers are coming out of an apartment and they didn't have a garage, and that's one of the biggest things they want is their car to be in a garage. So that's a real downer for them. And then if you get into a price range that's maybe a second or third time buyer, not a first time buyer, that's not going to maybe fit their needs either. You're looking at such a specific population who needs an extra room but no garage. Now, I have seen people do it pretty nicely where they have left the garage door and left about 4 to 6 feet inside the garage for
Okay.
mowers, and then put a false wall after that, and then made a room out of it.
That could be taken down afterwards.
It could be taken down, but you do get into the issue of heat and air, and there's expense there.
true.
Well, and what about the storms? Now we're back to the hail. You're leaving a
Yes.
little bit of garage, maybe big enough for the mower, a weed eater, storage of items out in the garage, like
Right.
gasoline that you wouldn't keep inside the home. But let's talk about that garage conversion and putting the car outside. Now the question is, how are you going to get your groceries inside the house?
Yes.
In a lot of homes, that kitchen is going to be pretty close to the garage area for bringing groceries in.
I didn't even think about
yeah.
that.
And Cindy, the last thing I would say is you brought up a minute ago that you're a first-time buyer, you're living in an apartment, you want a place to park your car. You get into these more expensive homes that are $250, $350, $400, $500, $600. When you convert, normally people that have a more expensive home also have nice cars.
That's
And
right.
so now you're parking your cars outside.
Absolutely.
That's a tough one on the conversion, isn't it, Cindy? Those homes typically sell
It
slower.
really is, and it's kind of a stopgap for the person who lives in the home. Sometimes, gosh, we have the mother-in-law moving in, we got to do something.
Sure.
But they have to think a little more long-term. We may want to sell this home, and this is going to be tougher to resell.
Sure. Okay, I want to look into the crystal ball for one last thing here. Wants versus needs. We all want this and that when we go look for homes. If our price range is $400,000, I'm starting at $400,000, even though that's my limit. And you start looking at stuff that's $430 because it may have a pool. It may have an extra bonus room that's a media room. So those are wants. Needs are, I need 3 bedrooms, not 4, and an office. And I need a 2-car garage, not 3, to go buy a golf cart and put that in there. But sometimes with the home values continuing to rise, we even talked about all of the lending services, they revise their forecasts. Do I bite the bullet and go ahead and say, hey, this is what I want. I think I can afford it. Let's go all in on this because we know the value's going to rise. I'm going to get my money out of this anyway. Or should I think differently?
You know, it's a really important time when a person gets pre-qualified because now they know what they can afford. And we get some people who are very careful with their money and they actually are frugal and say, I don't want to spend that much, even though I qualify for that. Other people who say, man, I'm going for the max. I'm going to get everything on my wish list. I think the important thing is you really have to look at yourself and your family situation right now, but also what do you project for the next 5 years?
Okay.
Because you have to think about, and we don't have a crystal ball, and that's why it's kind of funny to say that, but you do have to think about the fact that in 5 years, maybe I'm going to be transferred. Maybe it's going to be a situation where we had one customer who had a lot of advanced education and he was going to be making a lot more money. He bought a house for his family to live in for a few years, and then he was going to rent it out because he wanted to have a rental portfolio as well.
Okay.
So kind of thinking ahead what that 5-year projection is going to be. And also, I've had people who buy too little. And you don't think about that. You know, you said, let's go for the max, let's go for everything. But I've actually had people who've said, no, I'm just going to be conservative here. I'm going to be careful and frugal. And then in 2 years, it didn't fit their needs. And now they're having to sell and buy again.
Oh, we
And
had
it is-
twins.
Well, and it's expensive to do
Yeah,
that, isn't it,
and
Cindy?
it's expensive to
Yes.
do that. And so that in the long run, yes, they were being frugal. They were being smart with their money in a way. But in the long run, it cost them money.
Yeah, there's a couple things to consider there. Even though we're in real estate, and sure, we love helping people buy and sell, there are expenses to selling a home if you've got brokerage fees and closing costs. And then,
And it's a hassle. You know, you got to move.
well, you got to look at the tax disadvantages or advantages also. And so it should be weighed carefully, I think is what you're
Absolutely.
saying.
You're right. Sometimes you're not planning on what you're going to need in the house. Sometimes you might not plan to buy too much. If you're a little older, you buy like a 2-story house or something and you're never going to go upstairs. Now you're buying much more than what you thought. So there's situations like that as well, correct?
That's absolutely right. We've had listings where folks say their kids are gone and they never go upstairs except to dust and to vacuum. They say there's bedrooms up there, but we never go up there. So kind of thinking of that long range plan, just like thinking about living in the country versus living in the city. You know, folks are saying, gosh, the kids will help maintain this 5 acres, but the kids grow up and move away. And now mom and dad are going, oh my gosh, that riding mower, and I got to mow all this and weed whack around these trees. So really thinking about what you want right now, what you can afford, but also thinking about your future in terms of your job, your family needs.
And I've had customers too, Dave, that have come to me and said, I need to find a home with 2 bedrooms downstairs. I'm okay with the 2-story because I have kids, but I do want a place for mom or dad to be able to move in with us if something happens to dad or to mom, if we lose one of our parents and them moving in. Do you know we even had a friend named Jack, but probably 15 years ago, he lived in a nice 2-story home with only 1 bedroom down and all of the kids' bedrooms up front. And unfortunately, his daughter was a cheerleader at one of the local schools, and out on a country road at noon, there was a car accident and she was left paralyzed.
Oh, no.
And they were forced to sell their home to fit their needs because all of the kids' bedrooms were upstairs. In that case, Jack and his wife, who I respect so much, moved upstairs and slept upstairs until they could sell their home so that their daughter
Sure.
could be cared for medically and live in the master downstairs. So
yeah.
think about your circumstances, what could happen in your life, like
And
Cindy
that's
said.
one that's hard to predict. Who would know that? But you can at least think about things, your job, your family, your goals. You can think about those things
Are you
too.
upwardly mobile? Is there a pretty good chance that you're really great in your career and in 2 or 3 years you could be transferred to Dallas?
Yep.
You could go to Phoenix. You could go to San Francisco. Be careful about what you buy. Make sure the resale is good. And fortunately, that's where our experience comes in, Dave.
Well, I was going to say, we really don't need a crystal ball for all of this because Cindy has really given us a lot of great wisdom on this already this morning. I know we can call Wally. Can listeners give you you a call if they'd like to contact you and maybe talk about, I have questions about my home, or I have questions about, do I need this in the next home I want to buy? Can people give you a shout?
Absolutely. 405-330-3000.
Okay, so they'll gain that wisdom chatting with you. We're going to hear about Wally's wisdom coming up next. Stick around.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful. From knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Stoke with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
Looking for your dream home? They're hard to find right now, aren't they? The best homes are being gobbled up quickly by home buyers like you who are finding the best homes at the best prices before you can get to them. Feeling frustrated? Stop the insanity and get on board with a real estate team that will do the work for you. We've got access to off-market homes that other agents don't know about and other buyers can't find. Why? My Guaranteed Home Sale program brings me home sellers every week who would like me to buy their home right now. We call it shadow inventory. Many of these sellers are ready to sell, but just aren't ready to put their home on the market. Some of them want the process to be quick and easy without having to get their home ready and endure a string of showings. Make sense? If you'd like to access these homes and other off-market properties, call me today. Tell me you heard the show when you call. Let's find your perfect home together. I'm Wally Kerr at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, 330-3000. Call me today at 330-3000.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Okay, Wally, just before we get into Wally's wisdom, which we kind of teased right before the break, let's get into some open houses. I want to hear what you have available coming up this weekend.
Well, we just got a couple. What's that in the background there,
there you
Dave?
go. We got a little music. It's open house music.
Is that your Frozen musical box that you have sitting on your bedstand there? Okay, well, let's get to it. So 2 open houses this weekend. Come see us. A couple of really nice open houses. We've got one in South Oklahoma City in Rivendell. This is a beautiful 5,700 square foot luxury home on the lake.
Wow.
With a saltwater pool, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 4 fireplaces, and get this, gated community, a dry sauna, terrific home. It's open Sunday, tomorrow, 2 to 4. This home on Bywater is $1,074,000, so stop by and see that Sunday from 2 to 4. And Dave, I'll be back out in the community this weekend. I'll be in Edmond in the gated Esperanza 2 neighborhood, which is just north of 150th and May Avenue. Great shopping there. This is a gated neighborhood. The yard work's provided at this home, front and back. Community pool and clubhouse. It's an easy care, smaller yard at 15713 Cambria Court. That home is $639,500. Be open Sunday 2 to 4. 4 bed, 3 bath, stunning inside. 2 beds up, 2 beds down, in case you've got maybe a parent that's going to live with you in the future. About 3,500 square feet. That was just reduced in price. That's a great home. Just 2 open houses this weekend, both on Sunday 2 to 4. Come out and see us.
This music really makes me want to come out and see the houses, though. I might have to
Wear
get
your
a tape of
dancing
this.
shoes.
That's right.
Play this as we go out. So that's awesome. We'll have to go check that out. Okay, so Wally's Weekly Wisdom. You know, we teased that Cindy has all the experience as well, and she gave us some
Well, she certainly has
great
all the wisdom. Let's put it that way.
But you've been around the block a little bit. You've been around since July 1987 as well.
That's right.
So tell us about your wisdom that you want to impart upon the masses this morning.
Oh, yes. You just pray away there, Brother Dave. So appraisals and values come to mind today. So we're definitely seeing some home appraisals that are now coming in below the contract sales price.
Okay.
So let's say a home sells for $400,000 and the appraisal comes in at $390,000. What are those options, Cindy? You and I know it is the buyer going to pay the difference in cash from $390,000 to $400,000?
Right.
Is the seller going to come down from $400,000 to $390,000 to try to make it work because the buyer doesn't have more money?
And that's negotiation.
And that's negotiation.
Another
Or
negotiation.
are they going to meet in the middle?
Or perhaps the contract is just going to bust.
I just talked to an Edmond agent the other day that showed that listing over on Cambria Court that's open this Sunday from 2 to 4. She was showing it, and I said, hey, tell me about your buyers. And she said, the house they were trying to buy, it fell through 3 days before closing because the appraisal, and these are her words. Hey, Anna, if you're listening to the show, she said the home appraised really, really, really low that they were trying to buy, and we were unable to put a deal together on it. So this impacts both the buyer and seller. Remember that appraisal's done for the benefit of the lending institution. It's not done for me to be able to sell a home, and for the seller to be able to sell it, or the buyer or the other realtor. This is an appraisal that's done for the benefit of the mortgage company.
Yes. And Wally, talk about some of the things we do on our team and the team member we have to ensure that that doesn't happen 3 days before closing.
First of all, if you're a buyer, don't make an offer on a home without reviewing comparable sales up front.
Yes.
So a realtor should be able to say, hey, Wally, you want to make an offer on this property. Let me run some data in the neighborhood and let's see how much it looks like that home might appraise for.
Absolutely.
But just as important for the seller, too, right, Cindy?
Absolutely.
You don't want to misadvise the seller and say, hey, tell you what, the values in your neighborhood are about $160 a foot. I think you've got a great home, so why don't we go price it at $170 a foot and see what happens? And then when that appraisal comes in low, the seller can be disappointed because the buyer went and gave that amount for the home. Now it doesn't appraise. Now everybody's headed toward closing. You're packing boxes. You're preparing to move. You've set up utilities, and here comes this appraisal in at the last moment from an appraiser that's using market data. Think about mortgage companies. They're aware that rates have gone up, right? Mm-hmm. And it has slowed the market down. And so the appraisers are out there to protect the lender from loss. And so back to what you said, Cindy, is what do we do up front to make sure that this doesn't happen to our buyers and sellers? And so a lot of it is insisting on a prompt appraisal being performed.
And that's what our team does. We have someone on our team who watches those dates to make sure that that gets done, because 3 days before closing, the seller has a moving truck and it's sitting out front and they're packing stuff.
Well, whether it's 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, or even 10 days, you don't want a deal to fall through due to an appraisal coming in short. So stay on your lender, find out when it's ordered and when it's picked up by an appraiser, which means an appraiser's accepted the job off of an internet chat board, and insist on looking at comparable sales up front.
You want to narrow that gap. Mm-hmm. You want that to be as close as possible to what they offer to what the appraisal is, right?
Yes.
And if you're a buyer, you don't get your appraisal money back if it doesn't come in at value. If you gave $400 and it appraises for $390, the seller may not come down in price. You may have spent money on inspections. You may be packed and ready to move, and you're not going to get that appraisal money back.
And that appraisal money is specific to that house. Now, money for a credit report can be transferred to a purchase on a different house. But that appraisal money and inspection money, if you've gone that far, is specific to that house.
Which could be $450 to $600. Mm-hmm. So whatever you do, watch this very closely. The wisdom today says watch those appraisals. Don't assume the data is going to be looked at by the appraiser and go higher than what the comparable sales indicate.
Well, we do have a case study in this as well, because our house that we purchased, we had motivated sellers, and it had gone down in price a little bit, and then we agreed upon a price, and then the appraisal came back about $10,000 less, and we kind of stood firm a little bit, and they were ready to move, and they accepted that appraisal and came down in price.
I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, Wally helped you with that, so I'm sure
That's right. So they were able to kind of meet us where we wanted to be. So, yes, I know firsthand that exactly happens.
Well, and this goes back to seasonality. Back 2 years ago, home values were going up so fast, we had very few appraisal issues. This market has changed. Rates are no longer 3%, and the appraisers are a little bit more cautious about making sure that they're using data, defending their data, and what they're turning into the underwriter at the mortgage company can be supported.
Hey, Wally, let's get into a call. We do have a call this week. Let's go ahead and roll it right here.
Hi, Wally. This is Ed. Hey, it looks like it's time to replace our hot water heater. How do you feel about tankless water heater, and what about the maintenance on them? Thanks for responding.
Okay, this is a great question.
Yes,
Glad
yes.
we've never had this one come up before. So tankless water heaters are something that have to be serviced just like a regular water heater. Folks, if you don't know this and you're listening, you're supposed to drain your hot water heater once a year. And I wonder how many people, and Cindy's eyes just went up really big because
you
we
do
haven't.
that? Yay,
Yes,
Dave.
yes.
Well,
Yay,
ours is
Dave.
upstairs in the attic, and we built a 2-story home, so it does have a drain pan for protection if it ever started leaking. But you are supposed to drain a hot water heater to get the minerals and the sediment out of it at least once a year. And so I went back to one of my sellers on a nice home recently, and he said, I was cleaning our tankless water heater about once every 6 months. He said, you got to clean the minerals. And he said, you got to be really careful about the pump you put on it to pump the water through, because if you get one with too much horsepower, then it will blow water all over everywhere.
Oh.
But I've heard of some of these tankless water heaters calcifying the water because they heat it so quickly. And calcium, of course, is white, and it's hard, and it can clog up the tips.
Yes.
So I think I'm either way on this. I like the idea of a tankless water heater. You might check with your specific area and see how much calcium is in the water, because if it is heating that water as quick as it does with tankless water heaters, it can definitely cause more minerals and sediment. And I think there's a little more to cleaning it. Sounds to me like it'd be a lot easier to hook a water hose up to
it.
just a water heater and
Yes.
drain it out the driveway if it's located in the garage, as opposed to tearing into this tankless water heater and having to clean it. I think they both have great merits, but just be aware that there is maintenance required.
Let's take a break, and we're going to come right back and wrap things up. This is going to be interesting. Are real estate brokerage fees negotiable? We're going to talk about that next.
The market is shifting. Do you know what to do? If you're selling a home, you need to realize that market demand is changing, and it's changing now. More homes are coming on the market than homes that are actually selling, so the inventory is going up. What does rising inventory mean? Prices can soften. It's important you get on the train right now and understand what you need to do to sell a home. First of all, my guaranteed home sale program will create more demand for your home, because I can buy someone else's home so that they can buy yours. If you're thinking about selling by owner, I can create more demand for your home than you can ever create on your own. I'm Wally Kerr, and I believe in aggressive marketing. My wife and I have done this for 36 years together, and we now have a team of 28 people. If you'd like to create more demand for your home so that your home will sell faster and for top dollar, give me a call today at 405-330-4000 at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I'd love to meet with you and discuss a strategy and plan for getting your home sold. Call me at 330-4000. I look forward to talking to you myself.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Well, Wally, as we wrap up our show today, I'd like to ask Cindy a question, because we have two experts here and might as well use two brains are better than one. Are real estate fees negotiable when someone sells a home?
Absolutely. Real estate fees are negotiable. And that's one of the first things that we talk to a seller about. And also, it's really important that we provide a price and expert advice with factual data so that they can choose a price that is realistic. We don't want to throw a price out there just to have them list their home with us, because it could get into these appraisal issues down the road. There's a lot of things. It might not meet their timetable. They may need to sell right away. Or conversely, they may have a lot of time and they can kind of test the market a little bit. So that's something that is very detailed and something that they look to us and our experience and expertise to provide for them.
Like in a market like right now where it's competitive, where fewer homes are for sale, I assume that there's agents who might tell a seller to list their home at a higher price just to try to get a little bit more money for that higher listing, especially when homes are selling so fast over the last couple of years. Have you seen agents that do this, and what are your feelings about this?
You know, in 35 years, I have seen that over and over. But if you're a long-term real estate agent, that will really come back to bite you, because you're going to have appraisal issues. If it's priced unrealistically, not what the market is demanding, they won't get offers, and a seller's going to get frustrated.
That goes back to Wally's wisdom just a little while ago. You're right. If you're going to say, hey, we want $430 for it, and all of a sudden it praises for $390 or $400, there's a big gap there.
Absolutely.
You've created a big problem for yourself and the seller.
You know, Dave, to close out our show, I'd say it's just important for any home seller to understand we're in a changed market, and it's not by our own choosing, right? The Fed has controlled the real estate market over the last 2 to 3 years. Dave, I looked, and 2 years ago this week, 30-year mortgage rates were hovering right at 3% nationally. It was 3.05% for a fixed rate 30-year mortgage 2 years ago this week. Nationally, this week, 30-year mortgage rates averaged 7.21%.
And that's 4% in just 2 years. And it was lower than 4%, and it's gone up by 4%.
I know.
So, and you mentioned in passing, we were chatting, 11 rate hikes by the Fed since March of 2022. And how has that affected the number of home buyers in the marketplace?
Yeah, it's way down. There's not as much demand for homes. So as you think about pricing, find an expert, and we'd love to be your expert, who will look at how many homes are you competing with, where should you price this property. We don't want to overprice it and have it sit. You don't probably need to price it and sell it in 2 days unless you're in financial trouble. So understand that with fewer buyers out there, Dave, sellers today need more demand created for their home. More demand means more interest. More interest means more offers. And more offers leads to ultimately a higher price.
Yes.
And a higher price means more money in pocket for our home sellers, and that's always the goal.
And you know, we really have the knowledge. It's not just an algorithm. It's not to say this times this square footage or plug something into a computer. It is years and years of experience looking at different amenities, looking at different neighborhoods, knowing that inventory inside and out so that we can pick these comparable sales and establish a value. Now, sometimes we can support a seller if they want to start a little higher. Their time frame is such that they want to see if they can get that. But it's our job to be giving them realistic expectations.
And we're ready to help our listeners today. We really love doing the show and enjoy it. At the end of the day, we are in real estate, so Cindy and I would consider it an absolute privilege to work for you or for a friend or a family member. We hope that you would refer us. You can text or call us anytime at 405-330-3000, Dave.
And I'll say this, you can't replace that wisdom. There's people that might be friends of family that could help you get into a home, or they want to help you sell your home because they're related to you or whatever. But there's so many nuances that I would never even think about. We always scratch the surface every Saturday morning when we talk about this. But because of your knowledge and years in the business, both of you, you're so well-rounded in, well, did you think about living in this part of town because of this and that? And it's like, no, I never thought about it. I saw the house. I thought it was great. Or, hey, you might really like this neighborhood. Let's see if there's a house for you here, or this house contains this. There's so many different things.
Or have you considered the floor plan and that this might not appeal to the masses
you guys know
in
all
the
of
future?
that. You have all that information, so that's a great reason why just to pick up the phone and give you guys a call. That's my endorsement.
Well, we'd absolutely love to help, and we do hope that experience shines through. For most people, selling a home, it's their biggest asset.
Yes.
And so would you trust the financial planner that's done it for 18 months, or would you like the guy that's done it for 30 years?
Right.
Have a great day. Cindy, go out there and sell those homes. Wally and I are going to be texting, watching football games today. And you guys have a fabulous Saturday.
Thanks,
you,
Dave.
Dave.
Good to see you again this week.
You've been listening to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr. Heard every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and replayed on Sundays at noon right here on 1520 a.m. and 95.3 FM KOKC. Wally's name is his promise. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. To speak with Wally directly about selling your home or buying, call or text him to schedule an appointment at 405-330-3000, 405-330-3000, or go to wallysguarantee.com. That's wallysguarantee.com.